Okay, before we move on to the next question, which is creating dummy variables, I want to try to go into a little more explanation as to why, when we looked at all of the three independent variables, that percentage of classes under 20 was not statistically significant, right? So one of the things we have to be careful of, right, when we're doing this is we always want some kind of correlation, somewhat of a strong correlation between the thing we're trying to predict, in this case giving rate, and the independent variables that we think might influence it. So in this case, we had three that were relatively straightforward and with somewhat high enough correlation coefficients. One was negative, the other two positive, that we think is important enough to include. So we did that, but one of them came back statistically insignificant. Sometimes what happens is we get correlation between the different independent variables, between the different x's. That's called multicollinearity, and that's a bad thing. So we try to avoid that. So let's see if we do, let's do down here. So these are good, and then good or bad. Correlation between grad rate and percentage of and class size is what we called it before. We're also interested in correlation between grad rate and student faculty ratio, and then correlation between class size and student faculty ratio. Are there any others that we need to worry about? So we did those two. It doesn't matter, again, it doesn't matter which order we do them in, so there's just a one-way kind of thing that we need to worry about. I think that's good. Right, so let's look at those. Here we want to see correlations that are not strong in either direction, positive or negative. If they are strong, it means we have there's a strong case for multicollinearity, correlation between independent variables, which can mess up the results of a regression. So grad rate is in D, D2 through D49. Class size is in E, E2 through E49. 0.5827, okay, and then correlation between grad rate, D, 2 through D49, and student faculty ratio is in F, F2 through F49, negative 0.604, and then correlation between class size and student faculty ratio, E2 through E49 and F2 through F49. And so here we see the strong negative correlation between class size and student faculty ratio, 0.78. That's the strongest correlation that we had above on all the correlations we calculated. So this is telling me that there is a very strong negative correlation between class size and student faculty ratio, which should make sense, right? The smaller the classes, then what does that mean for student faculty ratio? So I'll let you think about that and figure that out. But so what this means is that because the correlation between class size and student faculty ratio is that high negatively, we should not include both of them in the regression, the multiple regression we're trying. These other ones are, kind of high, but seem to be doing okay, because when we looked at just grad rate and class size over here, so notice that we came up with graduation rate and student faculty ratio as the best, and that is the negative 0.60 here between those. So really, we're looking, this right here tells me I should not include both class size and student faculty ratio. The strongest correlation between independent variables, so we should probably leave those out. And we saw that when we did that with the putting them all in, we took one of them out. Now, what would be interesting is for this subset, we did graduation rate and student faculty ratio. It would also be interesting to look at just the graduation rate and class size and see if the adjusted R squared does anything different. So let's just do that. Why not? All right, graduation rate and class size. So I can do that from this one because they're next to each other. So data analysis, regression, and I got to go back to H now. Or sorry, G. It wasn't H. And then this is graduation rate and percentage of classes under 20. And new worksheet, click OK. And move him over here, make it bigger. And notice that the adjusted R squared is only 0.618. So not as good. These are still all statistically significant. The p-value, the intercept becomes statistically significant also. These are all still statistically significant at the 1% level. But using percentage of classes instead of student faculty ratio only doesn't explain as much of the variation in the alumni giving rate. So in our case, it was better to do graduation rate and student faculty ratio.